Take fucking, I don't know, like 6 plus. I don't know what take this is anymore. Okay, so basically, I started recording this podcast at 5 in the morning. It is Thursday, February 9th, as I'm recording this. And if you aren't aware, I uploaded last week's podcast a day late. That was on me. That was editing and issues and stuff that I had to clear just before just before I was able to upload it. I uploaded the wrong version. There was editing issues. I cut what I had to cut. I fixed everything I needed to fix. Uploaded it a day late, which is unfortunate because I haven't been on track with this. I haven't been on track with uploading. This is supposed to be like a weekly podcast. I should have been technically at my fifth one now. I'm at my third one. I'm at like, uh, yeah, I'm off by like two. Yeah, January was supposed to be four. Every month is going to be four, essentially. But January, I was lazy and I wasn't doing a lot of editing and I wasn't recording as much. And I was just lazy. That's basically it. You guys don't need to hear excuses from me. I was just basically lazy and I wasn't uploading. But now I hope to be. It was unfortunate that I had to upload a day late, but out of respect for my friend Brooklyn and just a lot of I overlooked a lot of stuff and I made some editing errors, so just did that and was able to fix those issues and I was able to upload it successfully the next day, aka today. Um, no, yesterday technically. I'm sorry. I haven't slept since then. I uploaded it fairly late, like definitely after 6 p.m. yesterday, February 8th, which is when it went up, and it's February 9th now. Like I said, 8:30 in the morning. I haven't slept since. Um, I am going to be going out with my friend Neo today. Link in the description to Shmeef Talk, which is our podcast that we do monthly on our combined YouTube channel called Four Shmeefers. Again, link down to that below. Um, yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out with my friend Neo. I'm gonna go uh, use the warranty on my controller and get a new Xbox controller because it's been bugging out recently. And we're also going to check out Panera because according to Neo, and I trust him, I haven't done research on him, but I'm sure he has, and he told me he has, but he said something about Panera doing this special where they give you free drinks from as soon as you sign up until March 31st. It says all winter, which I don't know if March counts as winter, but if it's cold, I guess. But that being said, the reason why this is take like 6 or 7 or something like that is because again, I started recording at 5 in the morning, and from like 5:30 onwards, my family starts to wake up. If you don't know, I live with my mother, my half brother, but I basically call him my brother because he's raised us and stuff, and I'm super close to him and I love him a lot. My sister and my uncle, or my mom's brother. Technically, my mom's half brother, so a lot of halves in this family. But yeah, that's what's going on. I had to do a lot of takes because as soon as I start talking, somebody else wakes up, and I don't want to be up when my mom's awake, and my sister and brother are getting ready, and my uncle too. So, out of respect for them, and out of respect for not wanting to fucking deal with that, I just simply stopped recording, and so that happened about a couple times. Now it's 8. It's 8:30, 8:36 technically, and they're all out of that. They're all out of. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I talk? They're all out of the house now. I'm gonna record for hopefully an hour, and then wait until Neo gets here so that we can take off to go to Panera and then GameStop together. So that'll be lit. But boys, girls, and everything in between and outside, my non-binaries, all my homies. Basically, what I wanted to talk about this podcast, which I haven't had the best of luck with topics talking on my own. I feel like I ramble a lot and I go on tangents, but I wanted to talk about cartoons or just old shows in general from my childhood, just that bring me nostalgia. Um, there's not that much. There's not that many people who well, not that many people around my age, and I don't go looking for friends and stuff like that based on cartoons and old shows and stuff like that. But I don't know a lot of people around my age that are super into old shows and cartoons the same way that I am. Now you have like really popular shows, like like Teen Titans on Cartoon Network. You have like the Zack and Cody. You have like Wizards of Waverly Place. I'm just thinking of Disney shows now. Let me move back to Nickelodeon. I mean, you have like SpongeBob. That's fairly old, but it's a pretty big and mainstream. You have like a bunch of Cartoon Network shows like Ben 10, like Ed, Edd and Eddy. Um, I'm sure there's much more, but I'm just not gonna name a bunch of them. Maybe I will in a bit, and maybe it'll bring back some nostalgic vibes for you. But cartoons that I really like, just weird. There's something about cartoons, especially younger cartoons, that just are not only nostalgic. Obviously, rewatching and revisiting them after 10 plus years of not having watched this show, but there's also just small aspects of them that I remember that just stick out to me so much. Little things that you may, an example of this that you may know is just how creepy Courage the Cowardly Dog was. And if you haven't seen Courage the Cowardly Dog and you just stumble upon it now, being like, I don't know, I'm assuming most of my audience is 18 plus. So if you just stumbled upon it now as like an 18-year-old, you would look at it like that's weird. But there just was less of a filter, and I feel like adults sort of cared less, especially because those cartoons were seemingly aimed at like preteens and I mean early teenagers. Not all the shows that I'm going to talk about are around that age range. It's also a lot of very kiddie stuff, like Ubi, which is a puppet show that nobody seems to remember. I wouldn't even say puppet. It was just people talking with their hands. It was a kids show on Nick Jr. Shout out Nick Jr. by the way, a crazy channel. Had so many good shows. Miss Sunny's Patch Kids or something like that. I can't remember. Wow Wow Wubsy W show. But yeah, Nick Jr. had Ubi, which I want to say hand puppets. People were just using their hands straight up, no like glove mitt, like fabric or whatever. It was just people using their hands and to talk. That's essentially they were like opening their quote unquote mouths with their hands, and they had like what I'm assuming is like two like fake eyeballs attached together by some string or something like that they put in between their middle finger so that it looked like eyes on their hand. Really weird to fucking describe. Can't really describe it. You gotta look it up on your own. Ubi, Oobi. But that was one of the shows that I watched as a kid. I couldn't tell you anything about that fucking show. I just remember it being creepy. The idea of like hands coming to life, or they never blinked, obviously, because they were just like googly eyes or something like that. And they were just like constantly just like looking and sad, and they displayed emotions so fucking well, which is weird to me because they're hands. But yeah, that's one example, and another example of a show that I watched when I was younger that no one seems to remember, which is a common occurrence with me, is like a motif is that I love so many old shows, but no one else seems to remember them, or at least care. I'm like basically an expert at old shows at this point. Another example of this being the Upside Down Show, which is a Canadian American show starring two guys who would mostly do improvised acts, and they were all like it was all heavy acting and playing pretend, which is what I loved about it. It was just like there was one guy named Shane. I don't know what the other guy's name was. I can't remember. I think Shane was bald. It was probably Cody or something like that. Shane and John or Jack, John, I don't fucking know. But it was two characters. One bald dude with one white bald dude with a blue tee, and another white bald dude with like a striped shirt and like khaki shorts, I believe. And he had like brown curly hair. That's all I remember. And that's not all I remember about the show. But there was that's like the main point of it was they would go through a bunch of doors in their house, big red doors or different doors, and go on different adventures where they would pretend. Again, this is another example of a show that sounds fucking weird if you haven't seen it. I'm not doing a good job explaining it or giving the right context, but it's essentially just two grown ass men playing pretend, and then and then they'd have the occasional audience participation. There's a lot of weird shit that goes on that my mind, or maybe not even weird, just small, minute details that my mind just picks up and just keeps in the back of my mind. I'm sort of like this in relationships as well, without getting too preachy. I just notice very small things and very dumb, unimportant details. Unimportant things that don't matter stick out to me a lot for some reason, and it just remains in the back of my head. Things like that are helpful with cartoons. or not helpful with cartoons, I should say, because I'll say, "Oh no, the Upside Down show. Yeah, that was a great show. You don't remember it?" And then I'll try to describe it and maybe even talk about an episode, which I'm gonna do right now, and people would be like, "No, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." There was another side character in that show. I don't remember what his name was, but it was like a gray puppet, and it would just tag along on adventures sometimes, or have like its own adventure going on at the same time. There's a lot of wacky sound effects and like other probably animated characters and stuff like that, but it wasn't super. They weren't super reoccurring. One story that really was weird to me was, um, I believe they were looking for a movie theater. That's the thing. They were looking for a movie theater because they wanted to go see a movie. And this is actually probably my favorite episode of the Upside Down show. They were looking for a movie theater because they wanted to go see a movie, and so they went on like a crazy adventure through three or four doors, and they were like pirates at one point, and they were astronauts, and they were cowboys, I think. And then they eventually found a door that led to the movie theater, and they watched it, and it was them. I believe it was them, and I was like, "That's kind of creepy." They were being filmed this whole time. Like, obviously, they're being filmed for the show, but then like, who like made the movie and stuff like that, and it was just weird. And then there was another episode where, and this all might be like scattered throughout however many seasons there are episodes, um, because I rarely got to see the show, but when I did, I was always sat down, eating my popcorn, watching it, because it just amazed me how they were just pretending, and I don't know, something about my dumb 6-year-old mind was very attracted to it. There's another episode of the Upside Down show where they went to space. I don't know. That probably could have been the same episode where they went to the movies, but they were just like floating on the moon, and they were talking about the dark side of the moon. And for some reason, it was a very mysterious and odd and like spooky thing. And I always like remember that, like, the dark side of the moon. Is that real? Is that like, And they were on the moon. And they're like, we can't go to the dark side of the moon. I was like, why? Why not? What's over there? That's kind of fucking creepy. Is there like mean aliens or something like that? But I might be misremembering. It's been a year since I've seen this show. The last thing I want to mention, which was super fucking weird and sad. The last thing I want to mention about the show, which is super fucking weird and sad, despite the fact that no one's seen it, is just how there was one episode where, again, they were just going through doors and pretending, and then they found just a crying sock in a laundromat. And there was like this person in the background, it's probably a woman or something, just doing laundry. Or maybe it was just like just laundry in the background. But there was just this sock crying, and then they went up to it, and they were like, "What's wrong?" And I don't know if it was a girl or a guy sock, but it was saying how it lost its partner, and that was like the saddest shit ever. And I was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" Like, they're taking this really funny concept of like losing like one of your socks, one sock out of the pair of socks, and like your laundry, which I'm sure now it's pretty funny, because now I'm sure I've lost socks in the laundry before. I definitely have. I lost a sock last time I did laundry. It's embarrassing. It's stupid. It's annoying. But for some reason they made it so emotional and sad, and I like, it was a heartfelt moment, and like, I wasn't a very emotional kid, but that like almost brought me to tears. I was like, that's so fucking sad that this like girl just lost their boyfriend, or boy lost their girlfriend, or whatever. They lost their SO, and I was just fucking in like about to cry, just like during like snack time or something like that, or during lunch. Not during lunch. What the fuck am I talking about? When I was eating like dinner at home, because I would like eat in front of the TV and just watch shows and stuff while I was eating. And so I remember just watching and being like, "This is fucking really sad. I can't believe this is happening right now. What's wrong with me?" Um, and then like it was a compilation, or like a quick montage of them like looking through the laundry, and then they eventually found the other sock, and it was like suffocating underneath a bunch of other laundry, and then the sock stopped crying and be like, "Oh, we found each other," and then they kissed, I think, and they found each other again, and that was nice. But I don't know, just the idea of things being alive or not being alive, or personification in general, which, if you don't know, which I'm sure you do, but personification is making things that aren't alive alive and giving them human emotions and stuff like that. Super weird. On that page, Flapjack, The Misadventures of Flapjack. Shout out Flapjack, and shout out if you've seen the show. It's very fucking creepy. It's very odd. And it has a lot of weird motifs. Like, even the animation is weird. It has that thing from SpongeBob, the whole meme of like, it'll be a normal ass episode, and then it'll be one fucking frame of the most high definition, grotesque, nasty shot that you've ever seen in your life, and then it just keeps going on. Like, it's fucking ridiculous how fucking, like, how much they were able to get away with in terms of animation. They'll have like the whole regular show, and then they'll throw like a frame or two of the nastiest, high definition, grossest shit you've ever seen in your fucking life. It's disgusting, and then they just get away with it because it's SpongeBob. But for Flapjack, a lot of the show was like that. It was very dark, gloomy, gritty, and a lot of, I'm sure it had a lot of adult jokes. The main one, for example, being how Knuckles was like a fucking raging alcoholic, but instead of alcohol, it was candy. They were like obsessed, which leads me to another question of like, is the candy supposed to be like his like drug, or like his like he's definitely addicted to it and he does like whatever, and he's scummy and he does whatever to get to it, sort of like, you know, Ed and Eddie, like they do schemes or whatever in order to get the quarter, to get the fucking money, to get like, you know, the jawbreakers, you know, scummy shit like that. But Knuckles, which by the way, why is it Knuckles and not Knuckles? What the fuck? That's weird. But why did Knuckles, you know, also get this kid involved? You know, I don't remember exactly how they met, if they even spoke about how they met. That's a whole like Marty McFly and Doc situation. Like, how the fuck do they know each other? That's kind of weird. They might have gone over in the show, and I haven't binge watched every single episode, so forgive me if a lot of my information is off. I haven't seen a lot of these shows since I was a kid, but I was randomly thinking about cartoons, and I really wanted to get into them, so we're diving into that today. Okay, that being said, though, why was he like this raging, you know, addict for candy, and he got this kid involved in the candy as well? I remember this person from my middle school telling me that, oh yeah, by the way, that's like a euphemism for drugs. Candy was like a euphemism for like crack or cocaine or heroin, or I don't remember what they said, but they were serving candy by like the by uh, glasses, you know, like pint glasses, like, you know, that you would see like in a like a medieval tavern or a bar or something like that, or even just now, you could probably get a drink like a glass that big, and get beer out of it and stuff like that at bars. So it's weird that they were like addicted to it, and he got like the kid also addicted. But in the show, it's just candy, so I guess it's just candy, and the conspiracy theory will end there. But following along the same train of thought of things coming back to life, which is something I was talking about with was it Ubi? No, it was the Upside Down show with the personification of the sock, but also Ubi making hands talk and stuff like that. It's weird. Um, so yeah, the Misadventures of Flapjack. I could go on for like hours about how fucking weird the show was. There's so much shit, but the one thing that always stuck out to me was Candy Wife. If you don't know, the bartender that they would go to get candy, Knuckles and Flapjack, I mean, was named Peppermint Larry. Um, Peppermint Larry was an interesting fellow. He had so much gums. Like, he had so many. Like, you know, when people smile and it's mostly their gums and barely their teeth. Like, that's the type of, you know, it was weird rewatching it. But Peppermint Larry has a wife, and his wife is made out of candy. And what happens in the episode is, at the end of the episode, Knuckles gets jealous of Peppermint Larry being with Candy Wife, and then he kidnaps her, and he gets on a boat with her, and then he ends up bringing her back at the end. I don't know what happens throughout most of the episode, but that's what happens at the end. You also see Peppermint Larry stressing out about his Candy Wife, him talking about him just having really weird marriage problems with her, and like the idea of him cheating on her and stuff like that. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know if that's the same episode, but you know, I doubt Candy Wife was in more than a couple. So yeah, the thing I really wanted to talk about is the personification of Candy Wife. Not only are there shots of Candy Wife like up close that are like high definition and borderline look like it's made out of clay, you know, like those stop motion movies, uh, but the question of whether or not Candy Wife is alive or not, which, why the fuck am I going this like in depth into kids shows? Yeah, I know, but just like humor me for a bit, you know, like seriously, it was like this mannequin made out of candy that this like crazy guy uh, made and then personified and then made into his wife, right? And the way I see it, it's either two things. One, um, he's taking out his problems on this fake mannequin candy lady, because you don't really see her move or talk throughout the entire episode. Like, there's some scenes where um, a door closes in front of her, or like she like slightly moves or something along the lines of that, but it's never visibly you seeing her like move around and running and stuff like that, unless it's in somebody's thoughts or dreams or the way they view it. You don't really see her move on her own. So it's either she's a completely um, not alive thing. Like a candy mannequin that he's sort of thrown his problems onto and made his wife, and use it as like a sort of coping mechanism, or she's an actual alive character. And I don't know which one is creepier, because the fact is that Knuckles at the end kidnaps her and takes her. The creepiest part about that is that he comes back and gives her back. And then I remember this very specifically because Captain Knuckles was holding his pirate hat over his eye, and then he apologized to Peppermint Larry, gave back his wife, and then said, like, I'm sorry, I won't do it again, or whatever, however the fuck the cheesy episode ended. And then Flapjack asked Captain Knuckles why he gave her back, and he said, that woman was pushy or something like that, or something along the lines of that. And then he takes off his pirate hat from his eye, and it shows like a black eye. And that's the part that I really want to talk about, because that is fucking creepy. That is scary. That's weird. That makes me uncomfortable even thinking about today as a 21-year-old man. Like I said before, it's either A, she's alive. No, it's either A, she's not alive, or B, she is. If she is alive, why did she allow herself to get kidnapped and make Peppermint Larry go through all this? And was it like a sort of like a I gotcha thing? And why wasn't she talking or moving at all? Like, they could have very well made her own character and it would have been cool, but just the creepiness of her not moving and her seeming not alive, them purposely going out of their way to make Candy Wife seem sorry, them going out of their way to make Peppermint Larry's wife, Candy Wife, seem like she's just a mannequin that doesn't move and has no thoughts or doesn't speak, and Peppermint Larry's just this crazy guy who's pretending that she's alive and speaking for her or interpreting things the way he wants her to talk. Fucking creepy. But it's either she's not alive and Peppermint Larry's going crazy, or she is alive and let all that shit slide. If she is alive, she let all that shit happen to her, and then she fought at the last minute, punched Knuckles, told him to get back, and then he returned her to Peppermint Larry, and like everyone has a good old time. But if she's fake, right? If she's not alive, I sound fucking crazy. I sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. But if she isn't alive, then who punched Captain Knuckles, and why did he bring her back? There's no shot that he punched himself in the eye and just fucking gave her back, right? I mean, there's no fucking explanation to that. I mean, I'm sure if I rewatch the episode, things will be a little bit more clear to me, but I don't know where to find it. I could probably look right now and be like, oh, it's on Hulu, I'll go watch it, but I'm just too lazy to do that. But that always stuck out to me because I was like, she gave you a black eye, but she's not real. And I was like, who gave you a black eye then? But then I was like, all right, it had to be her. She had to give you a black eye. So why does she not move throughout the entire episode? Like, why did she not talk throughout the entire episode? Why did they do so much to make her seem fake? Like, it was so fucking creepy. There's so much shit about that show that's creepy. Let alone, like, the characters alone and the shit that Flapjack has to go through. And the idea of, like, the fucking Knuckles being a raging alcoholic and also having the kid also indulge in that. But it's like quote unquote candy, so it doesn't, it's not as bad. It's just so weird the shit that people were like animators or producers for cartoons were able to get away with. It's so fucking creepy to me. I want to take a break here to sort of talk about the idea of not that many people knowing these cartoons and shows. I'm sure now that I speak about it, a lot of people will remember, or now that I'm putting it out on the internet, I'm sure at least one person will be like, oh yeah, I know that. What are you talking about? Everyone knows that show, Without diving too deep into my ex, one reason that her and I got along was because our love of old cartoons and old shows. We talked about old shows all the time. We'd go through a whole list of shows and like a Snapchat phone call. I'd be like, do you remember this show? Do you remember this show? Oh my God, I love that show. Oh, I hate that show. That show made me feel weird, etc., etc. It felt good to finally have someone who knew the cartoons and shows that I was talking about. And the older I get, the less I remember, obviously. So when it comes to talking to people around my age or sometimes even older, remembering old shows doesn't seem as important anymore. And obviously it's not. But for some reason, there's just small details in cartoons and old shows that just stick to me that I want to talk about, that interest me, that, get me going. That's weird. I shouldn't phrase it like that. But yeah, there's just a lot of shit in shows that are just super fucking interesting that no one seems to know. One of the reasons why me and my ex got along as well as we did was because we didn't really know anybody else who was, interested in these shows, or who had talked about them, or who even remember them, or if they did remember them, care about those shows enough to actually talk about it, and listen to somebody else talk about it and ramble about it. Shows like Wow Wow Wubsy, I'm sure a lot of kids, or kids, I mean maybe kids, I don't know if it's still up now. I'm sure a lot of um, I keep wanting to say kids because I keep thinking I'm like 17 or 18. It feels weird being 21, but I'm sure a lot of people my age, a lot of adults now, it feels weird calling myself adult, but a lot of people like 18 to 21 or 22 even, will know these shows and recognize these shows, but they just won't, why? Okay, yeah, I remember that show. So what? It's it felt good to be heard. It felt good to be reassured that these shows existed and that people cared about them. Nick Jr., for example, is one of my favorite old channels because it just had so many shows. Like, for example, Oswald the Octopus. Crazy ass theme song, by the way. That shit was fire. First introduction to, like, was it jazz? I don't even know if it was jazz. It was like classical music. It was dope as shit. But no one seems to remember Oswald the Octopus. He had a fucking pet wiener dog, which was lit. There was the episode where Oswald was going from like spending a movie date with one of his friends and going outside and playing in the pool with another friend. And I'm pretty sure the one he was going outside to be in the pool with because it was like a hot day was like his penguin friend. And so his penguin friend was in a pool, and then Oswald switched up like bringing popcorn to the movie place inside with going outside to the pool. So he brought popcorn to the pool, and then the penguin was like eating penguins. Eating popcorn in the pool as a penguin. That's hard to say. So just weird moments like that just stick to my head. I don't know why. Like, I don't know when I'm ever going to use that information besides right here on the podcast talking to who knows how many people. But just small things like that, I just wish people would remember and talk about. And I know, now that I'm saying it out loud, it's like there's really not much to talk about. But if there is somebody here, I'm sure I could spark up a discussion about some old shows. But yeah, Oswald the Octopus, W-ass show. Jack's Big Music Show. If you haven't heard about Jack's Big Music Show, I rewatched it after a lot of people were waking up, and I was trying to remember the episode. There was an episode where, okay, before we get into that, Jack's Big Music Show is a show also on Nick Jr. It's a puppet show. It stars three main characters. Jack, which is like a blue puppet with like small green hair. It's like a buzz cut, basically. Mary, which is a yellow puppet, and she has pink hair. And then their dog, Mel, who's like purple and green and plays the drums. I think Mary plays the accordion, I'm pretty sure. But they basically just sing a bunch, and then it goes to cutaways of kids dancing and a band playing, and then it goes back to whatever shenanigans they're fucking doing. I remember one episode scaring me because it was like a Halloween themed episode, or it played around Halloween, and it was all about like being scary. I rewatched it just now as everybody was leaving before I got a chance to record again, and it's not as scary as I remember. There was like some scary elements, but I was a fucking kid after all. The main point being, it was a lot of weird shit that happened in that show. There was an alien with like John Lennon sunglasses that came from another planet that played a Fleeber instrument, which was a combination of a horn and a guitar. There was an episode with a bongo bird, which was a bird that knocked on their door. By the way, most episodes start with them fucking just jamming out, and then someone knocks on their door, and they see who it is, and then they have a special guest or whatever, and then they have to deal with whatever problems they have to deal with, and then they resolve it at the end. But yeah, they had a problem where this alien came in with a spaceship, and they had to fix the spaceship in order to perform a concert in their planet. They also had the bongo bird, like I said, which was a bird that I guess the mother bongo bird dropped her baby. It's another crazy sentence, but and I guess it just so happened to land in Jack's clubhouse, and they had to raise a bongo bird for a bit, which is a super fucking cool idea for an episode, by the way. It was just a bird that just naturally knew how to play the bongos. So that episode was them raising a fucking bongo bird and them playing music with the bongo bird. It was actually it was lighthearted, it was nice, it was wholesome. And then after a while, the fucking bongo bird started crying and feeling sad. The whole reason it felt sad was obviously because it missed its mom. Which reminds me, I'm going to be doing a video soon about children's books. Jesus Christ, I can never say that right. I'm going to be doing a video soon about children's books, one of which being Are You My Mommy? Or Are You My Mama? Are You My Mom? I think it's Are You My Mom. I don't know why I made it weird. That Dr. Seuss book. Because it's one of my books from childhood. Really quickly though, without getting too in detail about it, I'm going to be releasing a video about childhood books and reminiscing about how a bit weird they were and how their messages were kind of odd. And I'm definitely going to be looking too deep into it. It might be another Why I Love Pink Season thing. It might just be Why I Love Children's Books, and that kind of also sounds weird. But it's just going to be me reminiscing on children's books and seeing their messages and just looking way too deep into things and going fucking crazy like I'm doing with cartoons right now. So definitely look forward to that. But yeah, the bongo bird missed its mama. And then at the end of the episode, he played loud enough for the bongo mom bird to come and find him. The last episode I want to talk about that I remember is an episode... Oh, wait. That's funny as fuck. Sorry. Sorry. The last episode I want to talk about was a Halloween-themed episode, which was kind of weird to me. It had some creepy elements, but overall wasn't that bad rewatching it, of Jack's Big Music Show. Basically what happened was they were playing music just like a regular episode, but since this is like a scary Halloween themed episode, I believe, they got a knock on the door and it was just like this orange puppet, the same as them, and it came in and it growled all cute like, and it was trying to be scary, and there's no context to this until a little bit later. It just comes in, tries to be scary. His name is Henry, by the way. Super cute puppet monster. But he comes in, tries to be scary, roars, and then like tries to leave, like just like that. I don't know if this motherfucker was going like door to door like a Jehovah's Witness trying to scare people and then, you know, leaving if he wasn't successful. But that's essentially what he did. And then Jack and Mary didn't let him go. They were like, why are you trying to be scary? And then he goes into this whole monologue, this whole soliloquy, if you will, about why he has to be scary because he wants his name to be in the family scrapbook, which is fucking fucked up, you know? Like, if he's not scary, like, he has, like, 4 brothers that are scary, his, like, grandpa, father, mom, dad, Aunt Coco, or something like that. No, baby Coco. His little sister was scary before him, and I think it's just because she's ugly. And there was this, like, theme that played every time they said his little baby sister Coco's name. And I think that's what scared me. The music in this was really weird. Like, it creeped me out. Like, it gave me the heebie-jeebies straight up. But yeah, Henry, basically the plot is Henry wants to be scary. He wants to be a scary monster so that he could be in the scary family album scrapbook thing. And at the end of the episode, he successfully learns how to be scary. But the way he learns how to be scary is they try to teach him with music. And so, basically, all the solutions to Jack's Big Music Show is playing music. So, you know, no surprise there because of the name. So what ended up happening was they were playing music. They were like, hey, this music makes me feel happy. Hey, this music makes me feel sad. Hey, this music makes me feel sleepy. And then they played like this really creepy, ominous, like tiptoeing background music, and it creeped me out. It really did. Even now, as a 21-year-old, it creeped me out. And I know that it creeped me out when I was a kid too. And then he like roared and stuff. Henry roared when he heard the scary music, and like it scared Jack, and it was like this whole funny bit that he threw himself in the air, and then the dog caught him a couple times. But it was just creepy to me that he was just like this random ass motherfucker who just pulled up and tried to scare them, and then learned how to be scary, and then you know, it was a wholesome story. Now that I look back at it and I see it, and I'm like, yeah, I learned how to be scary. I can be part of the scary family now. You know, but diving deep into it and looking too deep into it and over analyzing it the way that I do about everything, it was a creepy episode. It was creepy to think about this little monster just going door to door trying to be scary because he wants to be accepted by his family. That's sad. That's sad, and it's a bit creepy. But he ends up, you know, they end up playing like this spooky song, like I said, and then he learns how to roar and growl and be, you know, scary. Another thing I like to mention is, for some reason there's a Beach Boys quartet that just happens to go, and I know it's a Beach Boys quartet thing. It's like a parody because it's like four I think like turquoise puppets, all with like the same shirt. Like it's like the Beach Boys striped white and blue shirt, but instead of white and blue, I think it's just like orange and purple or something. I don't know. I have a terrible memory. I just watched it, but I can't remember everything. Give me a fucking break here. Get off my back. But they're wearing like striped shirts and they're quartet. They're singing. Their harmonies are beautiful. Their harmonies are absolutely beautiful, and I really enjoyed them. Probably my best part, probably my favorite part of the show. My best part. Shout out "Best Part" by Daniel Caesar and her. Great song. And so yeah, Jack Speaks Music Show. Another weird show that not that many people seem to remember, but seem to stick in the back of my head. I think that's where my love for music began. Just the quartet and the harmonies was super beautiful even when I was a kid. The power of music making me feel fucking scared and happy and sleepy. Like, it just amazed me. It amazed me. Let's see what else I can really talk about. Oh, Cartoon Network shows and Boomerang shows. Again, I mean, I guess old Cartoon Network sure, old Cartoon Network shows really get their flowers. People really seem to like old Cartoon Network shows. Same with Disney. I feel like it was just Nick Jr. and old Nick shows. And even shows from channels that don't like exist anymore, or if they do, they don't play the same shows as before. Like The Hub. The Hub was a popular channel, and I don't know where the fuck that went. And the thing that came before The Hub, which was the Discovery Channel Kids, which I don't know if that's around anymore, but cable's dead now, so, you know. But Disney Channel and Nickelodeon were definitely some shows that got their flowers. Like, everyone talks about Wizards of Waverly Place. I mean, not talks about, but, you know, gives their flowers to and respects and knows about it and, you know, gets references from it. You know, Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie was crazy. Zach and Cody, you know, both Sweet Life and Sweet Life on Deck, they both got their flowers. Even like old Disney movies, like Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior is still one of my favorite movies to this day. To this, oh my god, to this day, it's one of my favorite movies. I mean, the concept alone, you know, having to master all four or five fighting styles or something like that, and her being like, "Ew, that's gross. I'm not doing that. I'm going to prom instead." And then being like, all right, how would it be easier for you to like understand? And then they get her teachers involved, like the PE teacher teaches her balance, and like one of her English teachers teaches her how to fucking use a staff or something. I don't fucking remember. I don't remember that well. I need to rewatch it, but it was a great concept for a movie, and certainly something I can see coming back now in a different way. Like, if they remake that movie, that'd be fucking amazing. That'd be fucking fire, fire, fire. But yeah, Disney movie definitely gets its flowers. People definitely respect old Disney shows. I mean, Proud Family. Um, I can't really name that many Disney shows. I was more of a Nick kid or a Cartoon Network kid. But Cartoon Network is another show that definitely gets its flowers. Like Camp Lazlo. Not that many people. More people should talk about Camp Lazlo. The ending was super weird. The ending. Before we get into that, the ending of Camp Lazlo is very weird also. But shows like Camp Lazlo, My Gym Partner's a Monkey, the original Teen Titans. Teen Titans Go gets too much hate, by the way. Like, it's cringy and weird at times, but it's fun to just have in the background, or yeah, you know, when you don't know what else to watch. It has like funny moments and stuff. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Samurai Jack. I'm struggling thinking of old Cartoon Network shows. I mean Dexter's Laboratory was definitely that. Was in the Cartoon Network. I mean, you even have Boomerang, which is like showed up a little bit around the same time, or not showed up around the same time, which but I correlated it a lot. I mean, you had like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, all that shit going on around the same time in the same channels. So you have that as well. Camp Lazlo, something I really didn't think about until just now, or that I didn't remember until just now, was the ending of Camp Lazlo, which, if you don't know, the whole concept of Camp Lazlo is this orange monkey, I think he's a monkey, named Lazlo, who's at a Camp Jellybean or something like that. And it just revolves around funny camp shenanigans with amongst the kids. He has like Laszlo has his friend named, oh my god, he has an elephant friend and he has a crocodile friend. I don't know what the fuck their names are. I can't remember them right now. And I'm pretty sure the Indian is supposed to be like Indian wait, what? The elephant is supposed to be like Indian, so I'm not just gonna be racist and butcher that. And I also don't know what the alligator's name is, so I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, they just go through fun adventures and stuff like that. They get bullied by a fucking platypus or a beaver or something like that. I forget his name also. Um, but it's just like fun things like that. And then they have a headmaster, which they Loki my nickname in middle school. That's not nah, it's weird. That was my nickname in high school, headmaster. Headmaster Lupus, which was like this moose guy, this moose character, and they had like a assistant headmaster or something like that, and it was this snail, or slug, I think. But it was a nice show. It was wholesome. It has its funny moments. It had its funny moments, but the ending was super weird because at the end, uh, I think if I'm remembering correctly, towards the end, like at the end of the summer, a police car shows up while they're at like the flagpole or something like that, and then like a naked version of like the cow from, it wasn't Cow and Chicken. It was like one of those fucking. It was one of those shows with those animations from like Boomerang or something like that. It was like in the realm of like Doug and Cow and Chicken, like that animation style. Ren and Stimpy, another example of that animation style and stuff. Rocco, I think it was the cow from Rocco's Modern World. I was trying to remember it because the animation like stuck out to me so clearly. It was a cow from Rocco's Modern World, and it like came out of a fucking cop car like ass naked, like with all its fucking fur or skin plucked off or whatever, and it pointed to the moose, Headmaster Lupus, and it was like that's the guy that like tied me up and locked me up, and it's pretending to steal my identity. Well, it's pretending to be me and stealing my identity. And I remember just being like, what the fuck is literally going on, dude? What is happening, dog? That's fucking weird, bro. Like nothing weird about, I mean, there are obviously weird elements of any old Cartoon Network show, you know, like people eating bugs and just like not showering for days, and there's just like odd shit like that. But like this random fucking crime actually happening, and the idea of this guy, he stole somebody's identity to like be around kids and pretend to be like a headmaster, and like it was so fucking creepy. Even to this day, I still think about it. And there's a lot of conspiracies that can go on about cartoons and stuff like that. You know, oh, the Rugrats are actually all dead, and it's all in Angelica's mind, or like every SpongeBob character represents a deadly sin. You know, I was really into that when I was like 12 and 13. I was looking up conspiracy theories about all the shows and shit like that. And I know why, looking back at it now, because again, not to throw my age around there, but being like a 21-year-old man right now, I can look back at the cartoons and be like, that was weird, wasn't it? That was weird that happened. Because I thought it was funny as a kid, like, oh, that's odd. But even still, I had like the slightest hint of suspicion that that's weird to include in a cartoon, especially at the end. You know, just raising a question at the end, like, who the fuck actually was Headmaster Lupus if he wasn't the person he said he was, and why was he pretending to be headmaster to spend this whole summer with kids? What, like, who actually is he? And that's just a question that goes unanswered, you know. And part of me loves that. Part of me is afraid of that. You know, that'll always scare me that I'll never know the answer. But it's also just like a fun little thing just to throw in a show and, you know, throw a wrench into things. But it was very fucking creepy. There's a lot of stuff in cartoons that isn't actually scary, but can raise an eyebrow. You know, it's just bit weird. It's a bit suspicious coming back and thinking about it. It really just is. And I don't think I can name any examples off the top of my head right now because, again, I'm talking to myself. And usually I go back and forth and I'll hear like a keyword that somebody will say that remind me, oh shit, that was in this cartoon, or oh shit, that was in this show. But when it's just me talking to myself, there's not really much I can do. There's a lot of interesting concepts and small ideas thrown into shows in general that will have you questioning and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the end of Samurai Jack, this might be my brother fucking with me because I didn't watch Samurai Jack that much, but the whole idea of Samurai Jack going back in time and forward in time, and just getting sent to a fucking time portal in order to and finding his way back to fight Aku, you know, super fucking fire, super fire plot, super great episodes, sick action, the animation was fire. But I'm pretty sure the last episode he found like a baby and he was like protecting it or trying to raise it or something like that, and then it opened its eyes, and then like it like cut to black or something like that. And I remember my brother Honan telling me, you know, that's him. You know, he raised himself, like, because it's a whole time paradox thing. And I was like, what? That fucking blew my mind. That's another thing. Time travel is a fucking crazy concept that I feel like more movies need to do, and they don't do it properly. I feel like the idea of a paradox is super sick. A time travel paradox is amazing. I love Back to the Future. Um, I haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine. I want to watch that though. Even if it's not directly time travel, like the Curious Case of Benjamin Button with Brad Pitt. It's like a 3 hour long movie or something like that. It's probably like 2.5. I'm probably exaggerating, but the idea of time fascinates me so much, and people can do such great things with them. There's another movie I watched recently on HBO Max called Frequently Asked Questions About Time Travel. Another fantastic fucking time travel movie that just did it right. It hit all the keys. It hit like seeing themselves in the past, seeing themselves in the future, things that only make sense after you've seen the movie once. Looking back at things, it's so fucking good. It's such a great fucking movie. But enough about movies. I talked about that last time. But fuck it, it's my podcast. If I want to go on a little tangent about time travel and how shows don't do it right, or shows could do it right, or movies that did it right, I'm gonna talk about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what else to cover here. I don't really want to look on my phone and look up old cartoons and be like, oh yeah, I remember this about this. I remember this about this, because then it feels like disingenuous. It feels like unauthentic. It feels like I'm just like trying my best to find something when there's nothing to be found, or not there's nothing to be found, but I'm trying my best to find ideas. And if I do that, it's like it's a snowball effect. If I find one show, I'm gonna have like 13 things to say about it, or not really 13. I'm gonna find 2 or 3 things to say about it, and then I'll either go on tangents there, or it won't stop, and I'll find another show that's interesting, and it'll keep going and keep going. But as you can see, I find interest in a lot of small things, all the small things. Shout out Blink 182. All the small things seem to interest me for some reason. There's certain scenes in certain shows that just like altered my brain chemistry or something like that. I just don't get it. There's an episode of the Looney Tunes show, not Looney Tunes, the Looney Tunes show, where I forgot what the grandma's name was. The one that owns Tweety Bird, Granny something. I don't know. I'm just gonna call her Granny. But it's an episode where Daffy Duck goes into her like attic to clean up and stuff like that as a job or something along the lines of that. Chores, community service. I don't fucking know. So he goes into her attic to clean up and stuff, and then he finds a bunch of like pictures, old pictures of her, and then Granny just goes into, I think it's just called Granny actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Granny just goes into this whole backstory about how she was a fucking French spy, and it's like, what? Like, why are you just adding this random fucking crazy detail, talking about it for an episode and just never going back to it? And granted, they might have gone back to it. I doubt it though. And my favorite joke of that whole episode was it was tea time or something like that, but they were at like a intense moment in the flashback. Granny recounted she was like fighting a spy on top of a blimp, and then she fell, and she was like, and just before I fell, and then it was tea time. She was like, all right, I'll get back to this at the end. And Daffy says, did you die? Oh my god, I bet you died. And she's like, you'll have to see. And then she walks out, and then he says she totally died. And that was like one of my favorite jokes in the whole show that I can think of. There's also another episode of that show. Oh my god, I'm just tangent on tangent. But there's also another episode of the Looney Tunes show, which is very slept on, by the way, where there's a turtle that pretends to like, it's like Slippin' Jimmy. Shout out Breaking Bad. Shout out Better Call Saul. That's what I meant. Also shout out Breaking Bad though. Shout out Bob Odenkirk. Slippin' Jimmy. There's a tortoise that like is basically a con man, and he cons people, and he like ends up like, you know, going behind their back and stuff like that. And so he provides like a delivery service, and then he purposely like goes there when they're not home, and then like leaves like the IOU message or the UPS message on the fucking on their door and stuff like that. And he also pretends to like break his show and stuff like that, and he's like a TV provider company, like he's like a scam artist essentially. And it was so weird to me. Like I never understood, like, that's such a weird concept. Like, do kids understand the idea of somebody getting conned? Yeah, you know, because kids are so dumb. Like, let's just admit it, kids are dumb. Sometimes they're really smart. They're mostly dumb. They're dumb as a bag of rocks, you know? But, like, do kids understand kids do kids understand people being conned? Like, it was so the character, the turtle was so creepy and evil for no reason. Like, I wanted to punch that little fucker in the stomach. But like, would kids have gotten mad at that shit? Would kids have even enjoyed that episode? I know I enjoyed it, but it was weird. It was weird characters like that being and oh my god, Baby Looney Tunes was a show that I don't think went on for long, but one one funny moment was an episode about the Tooth Fairy or something like that. And Baby Looney Tunes is so cute. All the Baby Looney Tunes are fucking adorable. But there's a scene where um, one of them gets their tooth chipped, or one of them loses their tooth. They put it under their pillow and they get $1. I think it might have been Daffy. And then he found out, and then Daffy essentially finds out that you can get money for, losing a tooth. So somebody else happens to lose a tooth, and then Daffy pretends to be the Tooth Fairy, gets their tooth from under their bed, and leaves them a post-it card with the letters IOU on it. And then I think it was Bugs, I don't know who it was, but they were like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's an IOU. Like I owe you like $1 for this tooth." Really dumb and funny. So like, I don't know why that sticks to me. Like, I watched that one episode one time when I was in like 3rd grade, and I still remember it. Like, I don't know why. It's not even like that funny. It just stuck out to me so much. Looney Tunes is insane though. Looney Tunes definitely has great characters, amazing characters. Speedy Gonzalez is, we don't talk about Speedy Gonzalez. W representation though. Oh my god, that's awful. But yeah, my dad was a very big film person, as I probably said a couple podcasts ago when I was talking about movies. My dad was a big movie head, so we'd get a bunch of DVDs and VHS tapes. We'd get a bunch of VHS tapes and DVD discs. I remember one VHS tape we had was Looney Tunes, and it was like the old Looney Tunes, not the Looney Tunes show. It was a bunch of skits. I really don't know what else to call them, but there was one with Frankenstein's monster, which was fucking creepy. There was one with a Yeti, which was fucking creepy and scary. Just monsters in general when I was a kid creeped me out so much. But one of the biggest things that I fuck with heavily is fourth wall breaking, which is why I love time travel and stuff like that a lot, because it breaks the fourth wall, and it's like, what the fuck, wait, what? Did I really just hold up, wait, did you see that? Type shit. And so one episode that broke the fourth wall was an episode of Looney Tunes where it was like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny. I don't know if it was also Bugs Bunny, but it was definitely Daffy Duck yelling at like an animator, at us at the screen, because we were supposed to be the animator, or if he was either looking at us or looking slightly above his head, and yelling at the animators, and then they were like erasing him and then like fucking with him and drawing shit, and that creeped me the fuck out, because I think that was my introduction to existentialism, and I was like, can I be erased? Can I just like, can I have my mouth erased, or like get an arm drawn on me, and like, can I just not exist? Because there was a point where Daffy was asking for like a background and stuff, and like the person was fucking with them and making like an ugly background, and Daffy kept requesting more and more details, and it was so sick. It was like literally wishing things into existence, and then they came true. And then it was really funny because the animator was obviously fucking with Daffy and stuff like that, which it probably cost so much to animate the hand individually, drawing everything. But that aside, it was super existential, and it really creeped me out as a kid, because I was like, fuck. Not only are there these creepy monsters every couple episodes of this VHS tape that make that like creep me out and stuff like that, but now there's also like the idea of these characters are not real, and they can get erased and they can get redrawn, and that scared me. The idea of being deleted and being brought back and being deleted, it was creepy. I was like 8 watching somebody get erased from existence and then drawn back, and I was like just in awe, just absolutely in awe at the fact that something like this can happen. Yeah, there's a little Looney Tunes meant for you. Oh wait, last thing, I promise. Last thing about Looney Tunes, there's I think there was like a Macbeth or an episode centered around Shakespeare, but the end of it was creepy. I think it was like a breakup, and it had to do with a bunch of witches and stuff like that. And I think it was like playing off Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and all that. But at the end, it was like this this witch yelling at some guy that because they were dating or something, and then this really corny joke was like, "You didn't meet me at the motel." I believe this is how it ended. It's like, "You didn't meet me at the motel. I was in 2A," and they're like, "2A? I thought you said 2B." He's like, "No, I didn't say 2A. I said 2B." And then it cuts to when it cuts to Bugs Bunny. I think he's wearing like the Hamlet like neck thing. I don't know. I'm not Hamlet. Shakespearean neck brace or whatever the fuck. I don't know what the fuck it's called. And holding a skull, and it's the classic Hamlet, to be or not to be. And I think it was funny. Like I didn't even know Shakespeare when I was a kid, but I recognized the reference, and I was like, "Oh, to be or not to be." That's funny. And I know I said that was the last one, but this I promise this part is the last one, and it's just there was another episode where I think Tom and Jerry did a similar thing, where Bugs was like um, there's an orchestra going on, and he was like at the head of it. I don't know what it's called. I should know this, but oh my god, I can feel people getting mad at me for not knowing the person who orchestrates it. Orchestrator? No, that's not it. Fucking what is it called? Oh my god, I'm gonna like literally kill myself. Oh yeah, I'm in GTA. Don't take this down, YouTube. Please don't take this down. I don't know what it's conductor. That's what it's fucking called. Jesus Christ, the conductor. Bugs Bunny was like the conductor, and like people were fucking with him. I think that I don't know if the animators were fucking with him on this, but he was definitely getting like play like. I think either the instruments or like his paper were like joking around with him and stuff like that. It's pretty fucking funny. Pretty fucking funny. Um, and yeah, Tom and Jerry did sort of the similar thing. I think uh, I really do love cartoons and old shows. There's just little bits of them that stick out to me. Mostly the creepy things that stick out to me a lot, but just small details that people and animators and producers, writers include to involve in their cartoons and old shows that just make them that much better. And I guess I sort of wanted to say that because A, I have commitment issues with watching shows now, but B, there's just no old there's just no cartoons that give off. Obviously, I'm not looking for nostalgia in shows, but that'd be cool. But it wouldn't make sense. But there's just no shows that strike me the same way that old cartoons did back then. Like they didn't care. They wanted they had their plot. They included interesting elements. They had great animation. They had amazing voice acting, and everything was so well thought out and cared about. And now it seems like the shows I see now that I refuse to watch just don't look like they have any depth. And I'm gonna get hate for saying this, but I don't know. I don't think it's very uh, controversial to say shows like I don't know, like Clarence, like Craig of the Creek, like fucking Apple and Onion, or like these new shows I'm seeing coming out now, like Uncle Grandpa Finish, I think, or something along that. But like that was weird also. Again, Teen Titans Go, overhated, but you sort of see why it gets like cringy and weird. One I'm gonna really get hate for. That's really why I said it was Steven Universe. I really don't like Steven Universe. The animation is weird. I fuck with how progressive they got, but I really just didn't like the animation. I found the characters to be annoying, and that whole fandom, really, it's mostly the fandom, honestly. Like I have my issues with the actual show itself, which is why I don't like it, but a lot of the fandom fucking ruins it also. But that's with like most shows. I mean, My Hero, anime in general, the fans fucking ruin it. Like My Hero fans are annoying. Oh my gosh. Or so I hear. Or so I hear. I don't really follow anime that well. I've seen JoJo's, and like that's it. I'm pretty sure. Haikyuu also, but I haven't followed up with that in some time. Anyways, that's my old show cartoon talk. Definitely let me know some of your favorite old cartoons and old shows down below. I mean, there's so many shows to talk about. Like my Making Fiends. I mean, that's a show that I just randomly thought of right now, which is like I think it was an old Nick show. I mean, like Invader Zim, Making Fiends, Cow and Chicken, Ren and Stimpy. I mean, Johnny Bravo. Fucking, I can go on and on and on and on and on and. But yeah, so many fuck. Oh no, actually, before I wrap things up, I mentioned this previously, but I didn't go in depth. There was a channel on DirecTV. If you didn't have it, you probably did have it. Not DirecTV. You probably had this channel somewhere, but Discovery Kids I remember watching, and I was very into ghosts as a kid because I was just into creepy mystery shit like that in general, like who done it, and but Discovery Kids had two channels that I really loved. The first one being um, it was like this. It was this boy and this girl that would like bust myths. It wasn't MythBusters, but they were like, I don't know. They would talk about old. They would talk about history. It was definitely history, which is why I was on the Discovery Kids channels. They would talk about history and historical events, but they were all like creepy. They were like creepy events. There was another show called Truth or Scare. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, which also talked about old historic creepy events, which really that was like my bread and butter. Was like really old, not really old, but old kid shows talking about like creepy shit that happened that were like real events. Like that was sign me up. Like I was sat, you know. But Truth or Scare was the first one, and Discovery Kids also had, again, I don't know what the fuck it was called, but it was like some MythBusters show with a boy and a girl, and they would like go. They were like individual segments. It'd be the boy's part, and he'd review some creepy stuff, and then the girl would review some creepy stuff, and then it'd be like this white scientist, this white dude in a lab coat that would do experiments and science shit and stuff like that and creepy stuff. That was sick. I remember that a lot. But then one day I clicked on the channel and it wasn't Discovery Kids anymore. It had moved and now it had become the Hub, and the Hub is another program or channel that if you haven't watched, definitely had a lot of bangers. It was a variety thing. So I mean, every channel is a variety thing and has a bunch of shows. But the main thing I really liked about it was also shout out Dude What Would Happen, and like another ghost hunting kids show on Cartoon Network. I don't know why I randomly thought of that, but shout those out, and Destroy Build Destroy W shows. Anyways, like I was saying, the Hub. It turned out that it had a bunch of interesting shit like R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour, which, oh my god, I want to do a video on that so badly. Specifically the Creamy Cold episode and the video game episode. If you haven't seen those episodes, I strongly suggest that you go check out R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. There's one that, I mean, like the video game one is probably really, my top three are probably like The Doll, which stars that dumb fucking bitch who's always crying in every movie she's in, that replaced Max from Wizards of Waverly Place in that one, that for a couple episodes. That one. There's the video game one, which I forgot who it starred. Was it like PJ from Good Luck Charlie? Also another W show, by the way. I don't think so. It starred some fucking blonde kid, and then also the Creamy Cold episode, which I think is the creepiest episode. Um, I'll give you a quick rundown of that one because that's my favorite episode, and I'm sure I can make a video on it, but I'll do that another time. I'm too lazy right now. I'm doing this podcast. Basically, this fat kid Rowley from from the first couple Diary of a Wimpy Kids, that kid is the main character in this R.L. Stein's Haunting Hour episode, and basically he's a fat little kid who loves ice cream. Nothing crazy there, but he goes to get this ice cream truck, and he didn't have money. He asked his sister for money. She's like, no, I don't like you. He asked his mom for money. You don't do chores. I'm not gonna give you money. He asked his dad for money. Dad doesn't give him the money, so he finds his own fucking like change in like a drawer compartment, and then he goes outside, runs to get the ice cream. Doesn't end up getting it. Doesn't end up cashing it. He said, "Guys, I just missed the ice cream truck." His whole family's like, "We didn't hear an ice cream truck. You're crazy." And that's the first sign that things are not going to end up well. Is nobody else can hear this ice cream truck. So what ends up happening afterwards is, I say that a lot. So what ends up happening? I should probably stop myself from saying that. What ends up happening? Sorry, I had to do it. What happens next is he dedicates his whole life to catching this ice cream truck. He can never catch the ice cream truck. And then one night he hears it, so he wakes up in the middle of the night. He goes out and he has the money. He has the money for it. He opens the door. The ice cream cone is right there on the floor. Like as soon as he opens the door, which he's lucky it was a pull door and not like a push open door, because it would have been embarrassing. But he finds the ice cream cone on the floor, licks it, finishes it in like fucking world record time. He finishes in like 4.6 seconds, I swear to God. Finishes it, bites the cone, finishes it, last bite, boom, done. And then he's like, more. He's like, more, please, more. So he tries chasing the ice cream truck in order to get another ice cream, and he never sees it again. And the ice cream truck he sees is called Creamy Cold. And so he ends up telling his friend later that day. He was like, I had the best ice cream ever. And his friend, uh, being a skinny little dorky white boy, doesn't care. And he's like, dude, let's just ride our bikes. He's like, I can't go and ride bikes or go to the mall. I have to wait for the creamy cold ice cream truck to get here so I can get ice cream again. And then when he's talking to his friend about that, he gets told by this random mailman that's behind them for some reason. I mean, it's not some reason, he's delivering mail. But the mailman overhears them and he's like, did you say creamy cold? And then Rowley, I'm gonna call him Rowley, I don't know his fucking name, but he's Rowley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, so I'm gonna call him Rowley. He says to Rowley, he's like, Rowley, did you say creamy cold? He's like, yeah, I saw the creamy cold truck last night. And he gave me ice cream. It was so delicious. It was the best ice cream ever. And then the mailman goes into this crazy cutscene about like, oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't heard that since Little Johnny back when I was a kid. And he's like, Little Johnny. He's like, yeah, Little Johnny, little ice cream Johnny. It's definitely not what it was called, but or Jimmy. He's like, Little Ice Cream Jimmy. That's a funny ass fucking name. I'll make an album called Little Ice Cream Jimmy. But he's like, Little Ice Cream Jimmy, yeah, he would always go running his mouth about this. Running his mouth is crazy to say about a kid. He would always go running his mouth about this ice cream truck called Creamy Cold and how it was the best ever and how he was never able to catch it until one day he stopped showing up to school and stuff like that. And I was like, awesome. Sign me up for that shit. That sounds that's creepy, dude. I don't care who you are. Someone's obsessing over something for most of their life. Nah, I don't want to say most of their life as a kid, but like somebody obsessing with something. Just picture that. Humor me for a second. Close your eyes. Just imagine one of your friends obsessing over like a book or this franchise or you know, ramen or I don't know, something. Just imagine your friend obsessing over something so much so that that's all they can talk about for the next couple weeks, and then one day you just stop seeing them. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Did the FBI get to you? Did the CIA get to you? Are you doing something underground that I should know of? Kujin, are you kidding me right now? This is ridiculous. I'm thinking too hard into this, and this should be its own video. But carrying on, he ends up saying he doesn't remember ever seeing the kid again. He must have caught the truck or something like that. Makes a joke, moves on. Later on, Rowley's friend feels bad for bullying him and calling him a fat fuck and being like, you should stop eating ice cream so much and hang out with me. So he brings him like a cooler, you bring to the beach, full of ice and drinks and food and stuff. He brings him a whole cooler full of different types of ice cream, which immediately W-mans, you know, like W-mans. I know my homies would never do that for me. I'm kidding, I love y'all. But he brings him a whole fucking cooler full of these ice creams. So many different kinds. There's Klondike bars. There's Nutty Buddy bars. There's fucking Choco Tacos up in that bitch. I'm pretty sure. There's like those ugly ass SpongeBob. There's those ugly ass SpongeBob, Sonic the Hedgehog, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Tweety Bird, fucking Mario Pops. You know which one I'm talking about. The fucking trash ones that just taste like ice, I'm pretty sure, and have the gumball eyes that are never in the right place. And so... There's a Batman one too, I'm pretty sure. So he brings him a whole cooler full of ice creams. Rowley, being the ungrateful fuck he is, decides, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. Fuck you. You know what? This is like a burger compared to the world's best steak. I don't know why. He's fat as fuck. I'm not being mean here. I'm not making fun of a kid. He's probably like 20 at this point, probably even older. The whole plot is him being a fat, greedy fuck. Like, I'm not going crazy. I'm not going out of my way to be mean here. That's the whole plot, is he's a fat, greedy fuck. And maybe, you know what? Maybe Jimmy was a fat, greedy fuck too, because maybe it's a curse. If you're a fat, greedy fuck, I'm gonna stop saying fat, greedy fuck. Maybe the whole plot is if you're, maybe the whole curse revolves around little greedy kids, because the kid, Rowley, also got a bike. But instead of using that bike, he sold the bike for $20 to his friend, who reminds me of Fogel, now that I'm thinking back on it, from Superbad. He gives his bike that his dad bought him, which was probably worth $400+. Let's be honest, because his dad's a cop. He has bread, you know, and his dad's a cop is gonna play into this later. But his dad bought him a bike. He sold it to his friend for $20 in order to buy this creamy cold ice cream, which, by the way, doesn't even fucking matter because he doesn't pay for the ice cream. He just gets it for free. So, you know, that's whatever. But I guess he just wants to have the money ready just in case. And so Rowley does this plot to try to stop the ice cream truck. He takes his dad's like car spikes in order to, like, you know, pop the wheels of the truck to catch it quicker. He does that. Doesn't end up working though. And I need to wrap up the Rowley and his friend part. Yeah, basically he said this is like this is like shit ice cream. This is nothing compared to creamy cold, and don't ever bring this fucking weak shit up in my face ever again. This is like a burger compared to like the best steak in the world. Get the shit out of my face. And then his friend Fogel basically goes, you know what, fuck you, dude. You changed. I fucking hate you. Bye. And I think I'm pretty sure that's the last time we see him. And so again, like I said, he goes, stops the car with his dad's, like I don't really know what they're called. Cop cars have them. They place them on the road to stop cars to pop their tires and make it easy for them to chase. He takes that out of his dad's car for some reason. Like I don't know how he just has the keys to his dad's car and the trunk, but whatever. Plot holes aside, he ends up stopping the truck. But then the truck, obviously because it's fucking haunted and cursed, it just like it just puts gas back in its wheels, I guess, and covers up the holes. I don't know, but it's a cursed fucking ice cream truck, so anything is possible. So its wheels gets popped. Raleigh tries to catch up. The wheels get back to normal. Doesn't catch it. Tries again the next time. Was actually successfully able to catch it. I don't know how. I think he got his bike back and chased it or something along the lines of that. And when he finally got it, he tried giving the money to the person driving the creamy cold truck, and there was no one driving it. And he tries to give the $20 bill to the side of the truck. No one's at the side of the truck, and then the back of it opens, and this is the craziest part. It's cheesy, it's cornball, it's whack, but 11-year-old me was eating this shit up. So the back of it opens, and it's just this fucking fat obese man. It's Hagrid, bro. It's dead ass just this fat guy who looks like he hasn't had a shower in days, just in the back of this freezing cold ice cream truck. I mean, there's ice everywhere. It's so fucking cold, and there's fog. It's freezing in there, and he's wearing clothes that definitely don't fit him. And this is where you like connect the dots, where it's Jimmy. It's the kid from the mailman, and the mailman was like at least 40. So you imagine at least 30 plus years have passed since this kid has been in the back of this truck, and he's just been in this ice cream truck for like 30 plus years, freezing his ass off. And then he's like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm little Jimmy, little ice cream Jimmy, little creamy cold Jimmy." And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "Do you drive the ice cream truck?" He's like, "No, it drives itself." And I was like, "Oh no, that's fucking creepy. I'd never want to experience anything like that in my life. If anybody or anything looked at me with the same eyes that little Jimmy looked at Rowley just then, I would kill myself immediately. I'm not dealing with whatever the fuck that is." And so he locks Rowley in there. And then he's like, no, I don't want it. He's like, you can have all the ice cream you want now. You can have all the ice cream you want now. Creamy cold, the best ice cream. And then the truck just fucking drives away with Raleigh in it. And scene. Literally the best episode of R.O. Science Haunting Hour to ever exist. And you can fight me on this. It was fucking creepy. Everything down to the small details of his friend giving him ice cream and him comparing it to actual dog shit, to his dad being a cop, to his full fucking family hating him, to him being a greedy little fat fuck. Every detail about it was just perfect. It was just perfect. And it's creepy. Jimmy being in there for 30 years, having clothes that don't fucking fit him, freezing his ass off, looking like he hasn't had a haircut in 30 years because he hasn't. His hair's all long and dirty, and he has a fucking huge ass beard, and the beard even has like frost and ice in it too. And Raleigh's just like confused, like what does this mean? And he just gets sent off, and you imagine he's also there for, until somebody else catches a creamy cold truck. He's like, it's all yours until somebody else finds the creamy cold truck and can catch it. It's all yours. You have all the ice cream you want. Oh my god, perfect, down to the last minute detail. Sigma Homelander. And yeah, so the hub. Sorry, that episode was fucking amazing. The hub had that. It had like this game show where it was like board games, family game night. I think it was called Family Game Night. It was just like families competing. I don't know why it's like competing to play like life size board games, and they were competing against each other. And it was fun. It was super fun. It had that. R.O. Sounds a Haunting Hour, of course. It had Dan Versus, which was a pretty sick show. Famous voice actor did Dan, but I don't remember. But it's mainly about this guy, how this guy named Dan hates everything. It was a nice little animated show. It was pretty funny. And then I don't remember what else was on the hub. I think My Little Pony and stuff, but I never watched that shit, so whatever. Shout out all my bronies out there, you feel me? Actually, I was going to say one of my friends is a closeted brony, but that's actually fucked up. They can't defend themselves. It's not true. Also, it's also not true. So, okay, yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't want to keep going on and 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 on. I'm not gonna keep going on. This episode is long enough as it is. Again, sorry for the late upload from last week. Technically, it's yesterday for me, but I'm definitely gonna get this finished and edited and done before the 14th, which is when this is probably gonna come out, and then upload it on the 14th around like I don't know, like 1 or something, maybe before like at 9 in the morning. Don't hold me to that. It'll definitely come out on the 14th though, and let me know down below. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. But let me know down below, what are some of your old favorite old shows, old cartoons, current favorite shows, current favorite cartoons. I don't know if I'll get around to watching them all again, but definitely let me know, because I'm sure there's a lot of cool cartoons and shit that I missed out. You know, like on some Ben 10, Generator Rex, fucking like 16, Total Drama Island, all these great fucking shows that I'm missing out on. Nacho Libre, no, that's the fucking movie. I'm thinking of Manny Rivera, El Tigre, W. Again, Making Fiends, I remember. Invaders Zim, I remember. I'm okay. I'll stop now. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of When the Day is Done, and I'll see you guys next time. Love you guys. Bye.